So welcome back, everybody. This will be our second part of our Cult Classics episode. We're just talking about some of the greatest movies ever that didn't necessarily receive traction in their time, but now have huge followings.
Does that mean that in part 2 we're actually going to be talking about good movies?
No.
Okay, good. I'm glad we've got that clear.
What about Bob? I wanted to talk about this. This I don't think is a cult classic. It's just a solid comedy.
Click.
I mean, absolutely you should see it. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen it, go and see it. It's a solid performance of both Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray. Mm-hmm. If you're not familiar with Bill Murray, his holiday special is really good, by the way.
Is anybody not familiar with Bill Murray?
You'd be surprised.
It got more and more annoying, though, as he went along.
That is fair.
Some of his Wes Anderson stuff isn't too bad, but he's got oversaturated. This is him at his peak, I think. Mm-hmm. And Richard Dreyfuss bringing in this great performance as his therapist who absolutely hates him and is like this ultimate narcissist. And so narcissist that it just becomes hysterical. I don't know, it's very, very quotable. I know tons of people within this group that just love this movie. You can like say every line. And it doesn't quite have the cult feel, but it's almost there.
Yeah, it's almost there. If it gained a following now, it could become a cult classic. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't put it in there. When I think cult classic, I think more Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
Priscilla, Princess of the Desert.
That's almost the cultiest cult classic. You still get showings of it.
Yeah, like the Garland, people line up to go see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anything they do a midnight showing of on a regular basis. So Rocky Horror Picture, The Room.
Oh, that was invested.
The Room. Oh, that is a good example because that, again, is a sincere attempt at a drama that failed so hard it turned into something that you have to see. Mm-hmm. It's awful. It is awful and painful and enervating in every way that is joyous.
Do you hear they're actually going to do a remake to it? I believe it's James Franco and Dave Franco are the two people. They're going to be playing, not even brothers. They're going to just be...
The Disaster Artist. The movie about the book that was written by the dude who played... I can't remember the character's name. Not the main character, but his friend who ultimately betrayed him. Wrote a book about the Disaster Artist, which is entirely about Tommy Wiseau, who is a nightmare to work with. And James Franco is putting together a movie based on the book, which I am super eager for. Look him up. Mm-hmm. There are shots of him playing Tommy Wiseau, and he looks the part.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's got the face and the hair down perfectly.
Nice.
And he's just fit enough to match
I just hope it's not like where he's playing Whitey Bulger. He looked exactly like Whitey in the movie, but they got the age makeup just wrong enough that it broke it. He looks fantastic, exactly like him in stills. But when you see it in motion, you have a very finely honed instinct for what a face looks like when it's talking. Mm-hmm. And it falls on the other side of the uncanny valley.
No, just the creepy side. Okay, mm-hmm. I see what you mean. I haven't seen it yet.
Benjamin Button is far enough away. It's on the other side of the uncanny valley where you're like, oh, this is obviously CG. So it's not creepy. But if it got just that little bit closer, it's like, what was that? And that's kind of what I got out of Black Mass.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
So of these, which one's your favorite?
Of these on the table, that is a hard choice. I lean towards Fight Club, because Fight Club I've hit at a number of different points in my life. When I was younger and looking for rebellion, of course you go to Fight Club, because it's this big macho movie that seems to reinforce, no, you need to be more manly. Mm-hmm. When you watch it later on in life, you go, oh no, they're critiquing that. Mm-hmm. They're also critiquing the critique of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, it starts off as this indictment of the quote-unquote sissification of society, and then it indicts that indictment. Mm-hmm. Because it shows, okay, yeah, sure, maybe dudes could be more masculine. Here's the problem with that.
Yeah.
So it gives you this big nuanced argument about whether manliness is useful or whether...
It shows both ends of the spectrum. David Fincher's tone, it fit for this movie. I don't think David Fincher's tone fits for like half of his movies. But here, that dark, gritty tone, aesthetic quality actually perfectly worked with his underlying message.
Ooh, that reminds me of another one. Kentucky Fried Movie is a very, very obscure thing. It's what those vague genre comedies want to be. Kentucky Fried Movie is roughly 90 minutes, I'm probably getting the runtime wrong, of just sketches, loosely strung together. It's very old, very immature humor, but it nails it in a way that Scary Movie can't, that Vampires Suck can't.
Boy, those movies have not aged well.
Oh,
I don't think they ever were good.
They came out spoiled, so they're just getting worse. I mean, if you look at the first Scary Movie is good. Mm-hmm. It still holds up because it is what it is. It's a satire of a satire. Mm-hmm. Or a parody of a satire.
But as the references age out, I think, because there's a lot of things in there that it's referenced to movies that didn't hold up. Mm-hmm. And because they're referencing movies that didn't hold up, the references no longer hold up.
Yeah.
Like, if you show that movie to a modern audience, they're just going to be like, wow, this is a bad movie.
I don't understand what's happening right now.
It's almost like they're trying to parody something, but I don't know what.
Yeah, that's one of those, it worked for the 6 months it was relevant and now it's done.
Yep.
But anything past that, the Starving Games, for example, is not one that's going to hold up. I actually forced myself through it last year or no, 2 years ago now. Awful.
Yeah, I really don't think there's almost any parody movies that are any good.
Well, it's because they come at it with, Spaceballs is an excellent
Well, and
example
that
of
also
parody.
might kind of go with the example I was saying, which is it holds up because Star Wars is not going to age out this century. Yeah. No movie has ever been so ingrained into pop culture, and Disney's only making it more so now. Mm-hmm. So I think Spaceballs is going to age real well because with the things that it's referencing, it's like when you poke fun at the Bible, everybody's heard of the Bible, even if they're not fans.
Does Spaceballs count as a cult classic?
It might.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
And there's enough fans of Star Wars that, there's going to have, like, its audience.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it definitely has its own
thing. It has a weird lasting quality. It's not like a lasting quality as it is like a great movie. It's just like, Star Wars. Star Wars is going to last forever, so Spaceballs is going to last forever.
Another element of the cult classic is you can put it in a theater and people will go.
Yeah.
Would you go see Spaceballs in a theater now?
I would love to see it in a theater.
I never had the opportunity to see it in a
exactly.
theater. But do you think that would be a jam-packed theater, or do you think it'd basically be the
think
three
it
of
would
us
be a
plus the
good
director?
midnight showing. You know
It
what
could.
I mean? I feel like that's a movie that would be good drunk.
Amongst other intoxicants.
Yes.
It's clever, though. I think we'll see Spaceballs come back now that Star Wars is more relevant.
Well, speaking of Star Wars, do you think Topher Grace's cut of the prequels is cult territory? Everyone speaks about it if they are like a fan
If
of
there
a
was
hardcore fan
if
of
there
Star
was a
Wars.
showing of it, people would show up. I mean,
Yeah.
it definitely falls into that criteria.
Sure.
I mean, although most cult classics are, technically speaking, at least legal.
Well, this is technically legal if you do it from like what is it?
Are you trying to
Learning
sell it
of
as a transformative work?
No, not
as educational.
No, as an educational video on editing, you can show it, which Topher Grace has done in Los Angeles, and where press saw it and some of his closest friends, and apparently it's amazing. It's 85 minutes of the prequels with all like the crap thrown out and like some of like the deleted scenes. It starts with the Darth Maul fight, and then it's 10, 15 years later. With the,
I've heard rumors of people doing the same thing with a Hobbit, where
Yeah.
they took all 3 movies and cut it down to 4.5 hours.
Which,
And if that existed and I knew of a way to see it, I'm sure that I would have enjoyed it.
if only there were some way to obtain such a thing.
Yes.
Too bad. There's just no way.
It's a
I
real
hear
shame.
they did the same thing with Star Wars. They edited it out so it's
He specialized it? Yeah, I've heard something about that.
Yeah, if only. If only there was some bay where one could look for these things. I actually did just see something on Reddit on the way in here. Somebody redid the prequels. It's the no cheese edit or something to that effect. One of the notable things, the thing that really drew my eye, is they entirely redubbed Jar Jar with a different voice.
That is a great idea.
Whoa.
Yeah, they just redubbed him with like an alien language and subtitles.
That's really clever.
It is!
That's a really great idea.
And they went through and they cut out a lot of the George Lucas family-friendly stuff. They made them more dark.
Which
much
they
darker
always
films.
should have been.
They absolutely should have been.
You don't do a Fall of Rome movie that's upbeat.
No.
And this
no, you
was
don't.
a Fall of Rome trilogy.
Star Wars is a redemption story for its villain. The reason the prequels didn't work is because they tried to extend a redemption story. If the prequels had had their own redemption arc, we'd like them more.
Yep.
Stuff aside. Ooh, that leads me to another cult movie,
Yes.
Bubba Hotep.
Oh, I saw it on the list, but I haven't actually watched it.
Oh, it's fantastic. I can't remember who directed it, but it features Bruce Campbell playing Elvis fighting a mummy in a retirement home.
What? I almost need to see it now.
You should.
Sold.
It's fantastic. Bruce Campbell does an exemplary job as a guy who might be Elvis. He presents a solid case for it. The whole story is he is a guy who insists he is Elvis, and what he did was trade places with a lookalike because he was tired of the fame.
Okay.
So the guy who died on Quaaludes was a guy who also couldn't handle the fame. I remember watching the behind the scenes, and one of the last shots he took was in his driveway. There's a shot of a license plate underwater that he took in his driveway in a bucket.
Yes.
It was just an amazing thing to see. He was like, this is the last day of photography. It's me in my driveway, and done.
That's great.
It's fantastic. It's so good.
Yeah, I've heard of this. I've never actually heard what it was about, though, so I'm sold.
Yeah, I don't know where you can see it. There's a website I use called canistream.it that checks all of the streaming services and all the places where you can purchase online. and Netflix and Amazon. So literally you plug in a movie and go, this is where I can get it.
That's really cool.
It saves me from my podcast. That way I can tell people where to watch it so they can watch along. All right.
So what do you think are like a couple other ones that probably should make the list?
Ooh. Oh, now. Oh. Yeah. Well,
subtle hint. Subtle hint.
we'll hit those. There's a couple I brought with me in my head that I want to hit on. UHF. Please tell me you've seen it.
Here.
I haven't.
You haven't seen UHF?
I haven't.
Ooh.
I have not either.
I've heard UHF, but I've never actually heard what it's about.
So it's a Weird Al vehicle.
Okay.
The only reason it failed is because it went up in a summer with a ton of different blockbusters for its time. The list I can't remember. It is an excuse for Weird Al to parodize TV and movies. The thin veneer of plot that allows this to happen is he inherits a TV station that broadcasts on this low power antenna, and he is forced to keep it together, and he ends up just making these bizarre parodies and beating out the networks with it. Definitely a cult classic. You get to see Michael Richards before he was Kramer. You get to see the invention of the Twinkie Wiener sandwich. You can see Conan the Librarian, if that tells you any idea of the level of parody that is occurring in this movie.
So it's very much a Weird Al movie.
It's a Weird Al album with visuals. And it's great. It's fantastic. Everybody should see it. It has kind of a weird, kitschy end, but overall totally worth watching.
A lot of comedies have the kitschy end.
Yeah. Well, this one has a particularly weird, kitschy, like, wait, why was that not a thing?
Is it one of those endings that feels like the studio told them to put it in?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's almost out of left field, but by the time it's done, you're like, okay, no, I'll accept that. And the other one I wanted to bring up is Mystery Men. You've not seen it.
No.
Oh, Mystery Men.
It's a mystery, man.
It's a mystery, man. It's based on a comic book called The Flaming Carrot.
That's a solid name.
That is a solid name. It's based on a bunch
Based off of VeggieTales.
Yes, it's a Christian movie is what I'm pitching here. It's about a bunch of side characters called the Mystery Men, and they are superheroes who do not have the suite of powers that your standard good hero has.
Okay.
The main character is a guy called the Shoveler, who shovels good. He is Batman, but with shovels. You have a character called Mr. Furious, who just gets angry. You have a character called the Spleen, who farts in a variety of
I have heard of the Spleen.
Yes, Paul Rubens has an inspiring performance.
Is that the one with the invisible boy?
Yes,
who's
who's only invisible when you don't look
in.
Watching it now, there are a lot of movies that have done the bad superhero thing, but it was the first.
Well, isn't it Ben Stiller? No, Ben Stiller's yeah.
Yeah, Ben Stiller's in it. He's Mr. Furious. It also features Janine Garofalo when it was okay to have a crush on Janine Garofalo. You have William H. Macy, who does not belong in this cast. He is so good, and he commits so hard to this role that it was hard to watch another movie with him in it, because I was like, wait, I just saw The Shoveler, why aren't you being funny, man? What are you doing?
That can do it for a lot of actors. If you first see them in just like this iconic comedic role, and then you try watching like a drama with them, it's like it throws you off.
Same with John Lithgow. I was introduced with Third Rock from the Sun, and then I watched another movie, and it was so serious. I was like, what?
What was the movie that Carell did recently? I don't remember the name of the movie, but I remember it was really hard watching Steve Carell in a fantastic dramatic performance because he wasn't being Steve Carell. And you're just so used to seeing him in that character. I don't know that I could ever take Stephen Colbert seriously.
I don't know if I could take him seriously in any sort of serious role.
Yeah.
But you got to give him the shot. I mean, Robin Williams made the transition.
He really
Rest
did.
in peace. Fantastic.
I'd go
Jim
so
Carrey
far as
made
to
the
say he
transition.
was a better dramatic actor than he was ever a comedian, and that says a lot because he was one of the best comedians of the century.
Yeah, he's one of the funniest guys. He's a fantastic improviser. He's an excellent comedian. He was a good director. Let's get back to the line, guys. We are
Back to the line.
That's Office Space. I had to wait a while on this one because I worked in offices, and if there's one thing office workers like more than crap coffee and free donuts, it's quoting Office Space. I bought the red swing line stapler for my desk when I had a regular office job. I thought it would get rid of the references like, yeah, I'm in on the joke too. Can you go away and let me do my job? No, as it turns out, several times a day somebody would ask me about TPS reports, and I'd take them seriously about half the time. Like, I don't know what you're asking for. And they're like, I'm referencing a movie. Oh, maybe you should not do that 100 times a day.
Office Space is one of those movies when you watch it that it's just like you're constantly going, oh, that's what that reference is from.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's where that meme came from. Oh, I understand. That's the picture from the meme.
Now, it's a much better movie than the quotes it spawns. The quotes almost have nothing to do with the movie. The character bits, I think, are really interesting. The Michael Bolton gag that they play throughout the entire movie, I thought was inspired. I want to say Stewart, but I don't think that's the character's name. Because the whole thing started with these series of shorts with that guy's stapler, that little nebbish monster, is the inspiration for all of Office Space.
Yeah, it was a sketch for something, wasn't it?
It was a Mike Judge cartoon. It was the thing he was doing that wasn't Beavis and Butthead at the time.
And like the other one we have right here, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which actually might be my favorite of any of them on the list. This one definitely holds up.
Yeah.
It's John Hughes writing and directing, and this is John Hughes at his best. And we've got Matthew Broderick at his peak. Just giving
Definitely at his peak.
Definitely at his peak. Giving just this cool guy persona, but he's also relatable and likable once you kind of see like the underlying of his character. And all of the characters in him are actually relatable. They just have this goofy persona that they show, and then you get to see more of them. And then there's just an element of F this school, F this society, which a lot of these movies are. It's like F the Office, F society, F, well, Fight Club, F everything, you know.
Yeah. You know Ferris Bueller is Tyler Durden, right?
He probably is.
Exactly the same concept. Everything was imagined by Cameron. Just think about that for a minute. Just let that soak.
Whoa. That actually would make a lot of sense for like him talking about his dad and like trying to get him to whoa.
Yeah, it's all entirely imaginary because Cameron's sick all the time. So he imagines something to get out of his bed. That's why the entire
mind blown.
That's why the entire town bends around this one kid.
I want to see an intercut edit.
I need to see this now because you just literally blew my mind.
No, it's funny.
Really?
A buddy and I, we were talking about, because the guy who played Cameron, he will do anything on film if you pay him $40,000. But we were going to shoot a YouTube video where it cuts from Cameron losing his mind in the middle of the movie to him much older in a futuristic hospital bed where somebody has to explain, no, you've been in a coma for 40 years. And we would pitch it as the ultimate cut for any movie, because you could cut to that.
They'll just take him from like in the Matrix and then like intersplice that with dialogue from the one with Leo DiCaprio where he's in the insane asylum.
Shutter Island?
Yeah, intersplice it with that, yeah.
Ooh, now I want to see Ferris Bueller's Matrix. I want that movie now.
Did I hear something back there?
That might be my phone going off. Hang on, I'll go check. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm usually more professional than this. I'll be right back. Are you finally done yet? Can we go? No, man, settle down. We're not done. I just have to answer this phone call, okay? Well, can I do something? I've been waiting forever. Sure, I suppose. Go ahead. Fine. About damn time, I've been so bored. Since you stopped me hanging out with Santa Claus. Excuse me! Excuse me. Hello.
Hello, sir.
I don't think we've been introduced. It's I, Dramatic Readington.
Brandon,
Ray. Pleasure to meet you.
John.
Pleasure to meet you, John. Well, since my charge is off answering a phone call from one of his many ladies, perhaps I can share with you something I've been saving for a long time.
Oh, we would greatly appreciate that, sir.
Sure.
Are you familiar with a story called My Immortal?
I've heard of a song called My Immortal.
No, that turns out there's a story called that too.
Oh.
It is a Harry Potter fan fiction.
Oh.
It's found
Oh, I'm gonna like this.
on fanfiction.net and many other places. We began in the middle at chapter 17. Author's note. I said stop filming the strio. If you're a prep, then do not read it. You can tell whether you're a prep or not by my quiz. It's on my homepage. If you're not, then you rock. If you are, then fuck off. Piz Willow isn't really a prep. Revan, please do this. I promise to give you back your poster. And we begin. Tom Riddle gave us some clothes and stuff for free. He said we would help us with makeup if he wanted, cause he was really into fashion and stuff. He's bisexual. Hargard kept shooting at us to come back to Hogwarts. WTF Hargrid, I shouted angrily. F off, you effing bastard. Well, anyway, Willow came. Hargrid went away angrily. Hey, bitch, you look kawaii, she said. Yeah, but not as kawaii as you, I answered sadly, because Willow's really pretty and everything. She was wearing a short black corset thingy with blood red lace on it and a black blood red miniskirt, leather fishnets and black pointy boots that showed off how pale she was. She had a really nice body with big bobs and everything. She was thin enough to be anorexic. So are you going to the concert with Draco? She asked. Yeah, I said happily. I'm gone with Diabolo, she answered happily. Well, anyway, Draco and Diabolo came. They were both locking extremely hot and sexy, and you could tell they thouthed they were OT too. Diabolo was wearing a black t-shirt that said 666 on it. He was wearing tons off makeup just like Marilyn Manson. Draco was wearing black leather pants, a gothic black GC t-shirt, and the black Vans he got from the Warped Tower. B. Luddy Mott was going to the concert with Dracola. Dracola used to be called Naval, but it turned out he was kidnapped at birth and his real family were vampires. They died in a car crash. Naval converted to Satanism and he went goth. He was in Slytherin now.
Grandpa, I thought we were reading a kid's story.
Of course, this is for children. He was wearing a black Warped t-shirt, black jeans and shoes, and black hair with red streaks in it. We call him Dracula now. Well, anyway, we all went to Draco's Black Mercy Benz. Get it, 'cause we're Gpific? That his dad Lucian gave him. We did pot, coke, and crake. Draco and I made out. We made fun of those stupid effing preps. We soon got there and I gasped. Gerard was the sexiest guy ever. He looked even sexier than he did in pics. He had long raven Blake hair and piercing blue eyes. He was really skinny and he had an amazing ethnic voice. We moshed to Helena and some otter songs. Suddenly, Gerard pulled off his mask. So did the other members. I gasped. It wasn't Gerard at all. It was an ugly preppy man with no nose and red eyes. Everyone ran away but me and Draco. Draco and I came. It was Voldemort and the Death Dealers. You moronic idiots, he shooted hastily. Enobi, I told you to kill vampire. Thou have failed, and now I shall kill thou and Draco. No, no, please, we begged sadly, but he took out his knife. Suddenly a gothic old man flew in on his broomstick. He had long black hair and a long black bread. He was wearing a black robe that said Avril Lavigne on the back. He shot at a spell and Voldemort ran away. It was Dumbledore! Chapter 18.
No, you know what? Go back to the
No,
car.
I'm not done. There's still 16 more pages.
Go back to the car, man. Go get it warmed up.
Oh,
We're out of
fine. If you insist. Good Lord, you barely pay me enough for this.
I don't know why you stop me from doing this all the time. Everybody should be hearing these things. It's an amazing story. It's awful. It is awful. You've read it to me 3 times. You've read it to my wife 4. We don't like it. Stop. Get something else. Fine if you insist, you bloody buffoon.
Oh, come on. He wasn't that bad.
Welcome back.
we're
You're
talking-
much blurrier now.
It happens.
So, was he the author of that piece?
No, that
thank
was Tara Gillespie, and nobody's sure if Tara is real or if that story was anything other than an attempt at trolling people. But I gotta admit, he's right. It's kind of, you have to read it at least once in your life, or have it read to you.
It seemed pretty incredible.
That was probably the tamest part of the story in terms of you could understand what's happening. There's a scene at a concert later. But anyway, that went up on fanfiction.net and was removed about a month later when the fanfiction admins went, no, this is unacceptable. It has since been put up and taken down multiple times. It has its own web page.
Of course it does.
And, this is a treat I found, they made a web series based on it. Which is available now in its entirety on YouTube.
So there's like actual actors for the...
Yes, actual actors portraying these roles.
How long is it?
Is it like the Harry Potter stage play?
No, I don't think it's like the stage play. They directed it like a real shoot. There's 10 episodes, I think. If you like what he does, and I certainly do, my wife doesn't, Every other episode on Wisp, he does a reading of 1-star reviews or fan fiction or.
All right, so I think that just about ties us up for the week. Thank you, Steven, for joining us.
Yeah,
if you want to see more of Steven, please let us know in the comments. Please like us on Facebook, like us on YouTube, comment below, and subscribe to see more videos like this. Thanks. Fan spending.
And when I